Came back to second chapter. Previously, I remember we have discussed on fifth chapter and eighth chapter something. Huh? You came back again to topics. So, okay. But very interesting shloka. So, yes, all of you are able to see, right? Yeah. Tachradadana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya पश्यन्त्यात्मनि चात्मानं भक्त्या श्रुतगृहीतया. Okay, in the interest of the time, we'll not chant further, and also I'm not asking anyone to chant. So actually, sorry, because I had another session, so that's the reason I could not come on time. What to a translation? Translation of Prabhupada by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Actually, this Prabhupada itself is a very, very big Prabhupada. Let us see, at least we'll read something. Translation. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. Okay, so anyhow, I will read this again, and then we will discuss what it is mentioned. But at least, no, Prabhupada will read little bit. The absolute truth is realized in full by the process of devotional service to the Lord Vasudeva, of the personality of Godhead, who is the full-fledged absolute truth. Brahman is his transcendental bodily effulgence, and Paramatma is his partial representation. As such, Brahman or Paramatma realization of the absolute truth is per se partial realization. There are four different types of human beings: the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the devotees. The karmis are materialistic, whereas the other three are transcendental. The first class transcendentalists are the devotees who have realized the Supreme Person. The second class transcendentalists are those who have partially realized the plenary portion of the Absolute Person. And the third class transcendentalists are those who have barely realized the spiritual focus of the Absolute Person. Okay. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलानि प्रचालिने निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशिकारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining today's Bhagavatam session. I know all of you are punctual or regular because all of you are in training. No? Is it? So just like military people, they are in training. So all of you are in training. Is it? So Prabhupada talks about training in Krishna consciousness, right? And actually, this is the nice age to get trained in Krishna consciousness. Why? Not so many responsibilities or not so many diversions. Thank you so much. Not so many diversions. So we also see how when we are preaching to Grihasthas, it is such a tough thing for us to convey even certain concepts. It takes a lot of time. That's why Grihastha ashram is like, no, one devotee was telling when I was in Delhi. When devotee says the Grihastha ashram is like, Grihastha ashram is like a baggage. No, he has to go and he has to carry 2 bags also. That's so burdensome. Of course, every ashram has its pros and cons. So, but if at all we want to learn in Krishna consciousness, this is the right phase, because after when you change ashram or if at all, so it's tough. So, but now is the time when we are still in the phase of learning. So actually, we should never forget learning in Krishna consciousness is very important. I was reading His Grace Gurujan Prabhu that my glorious spiritual master, in that he's telling that Prabhupada was telling, he was mentioning that learn and teach others. So Prabhupada was mentioning to Gurujan Prabhu, learn and teach others. So this is very important. Learn. We are not here to simply what? Sit down. There's one devotee actually who saw our devotee chanting, dancing. This is good because ultimately we want to bring everyone to this platform. chanting and dancing, because that's how our movement is. You know, chanting is the core. It's a most important religious principle. So, but to bring especially intellectuals or any other person to this understanding, we need to learn. We need to learn, and then we need to personally teach others. So this is a very important thing. So always we should focus on learning, because if we don't learn, what will happen? The same thing we are repeating. You know what we are doing every day, we repeat same thing. After some time, after certain years, this thing becomes boring. Whether you may accept it or not, but it becomes boring. How it will be become interesting? Because when you understand what you are actually doing, the science behind it, only then it becomes interesting. If anyone does it as a ritual, चलेगा, then actually ज़्यादा लंबा समय नहीं चलेगा. And our thing is, we want to do this practice of Krishna consciousness till the last moment of our breath. Whether we'll go back to Krishna's abode or not, that's another thing. But our thing is, we want to perform this Krishna consciousness till the last moment of our breath. For that time, it's not an ordinary. All of you are mostly 20, 22. And for example, we assume 70, 75, you may live. 50 years you have to perform. And you know, if you read the glorious spiritual master, you will observe that so many people, they come and they go. And we also see that so many people come with us and go with us. And it is also a reminder for us. It's not about pointing at others. It's a great danger for us. What is the danger? There is no guarantee that we will live Krishna conscious life till the end of our life. So we have to be on our toes. Toes means, you know, just like one enemy is coming, so a soldier will be on toes. Anytime someone may shoot, he has to also revolt. You know. So we are also the soldiers. You know, we are also the soldiers fighting against Maya, and our chief commander is Srila Prabhupada. So we have to be on toes. For that we need to learn. And these are the chapters, and it talks about philosophy. And really, if you want to be alive in Krishna consciousness, our philosophy should be very nice. And all of you are very intelligent and learned, means highly qualified in so material realm. So we should never be lazy. We should never be lazy in understanding our scriptures. I heard from one devotee, before death we should read 7 times Srila Prabhupada books, at least. How many times? So now you see, if you want to complete one set one time, how much time it will take? You can say, I need not to say. Those of you reading experience, then you can understand. So we have not only reading we can skip also, but we need to understand. We need to understand, realize. Reading, understanding, realizing, internalizing, and then sharing with others. So this chapter is a very interesting. You see, simple by this sloka only we can understand the depth of the Bhagavata. So the most famous verses we read every day, we discuss, we chant every day, is mentioned in the second chapter. Now what is it? Narayana Namaskrityam. So what is meant by actually understanding? So when we are reciting the prayers, we should also remember the meaning behind the prayers. Like every day we sing Sansara Davana. At least in my case, for quite some time I didn't even know what is meant by Sansar Dhavanal, what is Narsimharati. We are singing. And actually, you know, after some time what happens, it becomes a reflex, means it goes into subconsciousness, and even if mind is somewhere, we'll be able to sing. Initial days we don't know, right? We don't remember. I still remember when I was singing for the first time, or initial days, I was not singing in a proper tune. But later, mind may go somewhere and we may still sing. Mind may go somewhere, but we still chant. Mind may go somewhere, we still worship. Those of you are doing deity worship, you can understand. Is it or not? Maybe all of you are able to do, I don't know. But it happens. It happens. So, if you are not understanding what we are doing, what will happen? This prayer flows out. But mind is somewhere. So, Narayanam Namaskrityam means what? We are offering obeisances to Narayana. And Naranchaiva Narottamam. In that second line, Naramcha Eva, the best of the human beings. And then Devim Saraswati. Who is this Saraswati? Mother Saraswati, goddess of learning. And then Vyasadev, we are sitting on Vyasas, and Vyasadev was written. So you see, we are expressing our gratitude by offering our obeisances. We are remembering that they have given this knowledge. You see, the most important thing is to always feel grateful. The gratitude is very important because they have given. That's why we also learn in another shloka of Bhagavatam, Devarshi Bhutaptaranam Pitrunam Nakinkaro cha Rinam Charajan. Like that, there is one shloka, right? Devarshi. So in that, they were great sages, and Vyasadeva is one of the great sages who has given us this Srimad Bhagavatam. We should always remember, because in the material world, what happens? You take the help and then kick him. But in the spiritual world, that doesn't work out. You know? This is actually insanity. It's not a human quality. That's why we should be grateful. And then what happens if we do like that? Then what happens if we do like that? Then we'll be able to conquer the darkest region of material existence. This material world is full of darkness. If you read the fifth canto of Bhagavatam, you'll really understand after the Loka mountain, what is there? Full darkness. If you read the Krishna book where Krishna is taking Arjuna, crossing this material world to the Mahavishnu's abode, what we see? Even horses could not cross that Loka mountain. Then Krishna has to invoke his Sudarshan Chakra. And obviously, forget about Loka mountain. Even with this material world, the day when we are experiencing every day, the night is full of darkness. If we don't have a light, no, because I don't know how many of you gone through that life when electricity was not there. At least in my childhood, electricity was not there. We used to read under candlelight. People have candlelight dinner. We used to have candlelight reading. So that's how electricity is important, right? And that's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, "Natat bhashete suryana shashankona pavakaha." There's no requirement of sun or moon in the spiritual world. So does that mean sun or moon are absent in the spiritual world or not? What do you say? They're absent or they're present? Krishna is telling not required, but they're present or absent. Why you are saying like that?
They orchestrate as per the will of.
This is an interesting thing. If you read Bhagavad Gita, then you may conclude that in spiritual world there is no sun and moon. But actually, if you go further deep, learn Brahma Samhita and other scriptures, then you understand, oh, Krishna, cloud is also there in the spiritual world, sun is also there, moon is also there. That means our understanding is partial. So just like, understanding of the Gyan is about the absolute truth is partial. That's not complete. It's not complete. Only the devotees have a complete, of course not full, but complete understanding. So we know what Krishna is, what Krishna does, where does he reside. All these things we know. Even our little child Saraswati also could tell those facts to when she meets a atheist. So another shloka, Nashta Prayasha Padashi. This is very important. Why? All of us have, our hearts are filled with faults. Is there anyone who realizes that his heart is not filled with anarthas or faults? Anyone? That means all of you are progressing nicely. Now the first symptom of progress in Krishna consciousness is the seeing the dirt within. This is what also the pastime of the churning of the milk ocean shows. What comes first? Poison. Even when Krishna comes from grazing cows, the gopis are in Vrindavan there at the near homes, and they come out and they see the Krishna coming from far away. But what they see first? Dust. So Krishna doesn't appear first. What appears first? Dust. So if you are not seeing dust, if you are seeing Krishna, my dear friends, please be careful. So what we have to see first? Dust. Are we seeing the dust or not? We have to check ourselves. Because Krishna is so merciful, he doesn't reveal the dust of my heart to other person. Krishna's mercy is that. If Krishna reveals the dirt, obviously a devotee knows my heart is dirty, his heart is dirty, our hearts are dirty. So that's why we are forced to be humble. When we know our faults, right, what happens? We are forced to be humble. When we are puffed up, we see I am great, others are fallen. But when we see our faults, what happens? We see ourselves are lowly. But this has to go in together with Krishna. If only this happens, what is the problem? Depression. So you see, Krishna consciousness is a very, very great what? Great dangerous thing. So if we have to be very, very careful. So that's why we need to understand our journey of Krishna consciousness. So nashta prayeshu abhadreshu. So all anarthas are there. What will happen? Almost nil prayaha. They will go away simply by studying and attending, learning Srimad Bhagavatam. So not one day, it's a nityam, regular. That means if we are busy with some services, we may skip for a few days or 1 day or 2 days. Ideally, that should not happen. But we should come back again. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. It's the best thing even when we are busy with services. One devotee gave me one nice advice. Even if you are busy, open the book, close the book. What we have to do, open the book, read one line and close the book. Can anyone of say I don't have that much time also? I don't think anyone can say like that. Even we are busy with Janmashtami studies. So Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya. And we have to Bhagavati Uttama Shloka because Krishna is worshipped through wonderful prayers. So that means if we are really hankering to learn about Krishna, then we are always looking out for a situation where we want to know about Krishna. So that's why a devotee, when he meets a devotee, what does he do? What does he do? Machita Madgata Prana Bodhyanta Parasparam. So in the discussion, we should say, ask, don't tell me the things which you have learned 1 week back. You please tell me which you have learned today. That way we are reminding ourselves, and that day we are also reminding others also too. Because as I said, now this is the life where it's a very nice age to learn, because afterwards it will become busy. So Srimad Bhagavatam is such a nice thing. Nayad vachas chitra padam hare resho jagat pavitram. Jagat pavitram pragrinita kariche. Tadvayasam tirtam ushanti manasa nayatra hamsa niramant yusikshaya. So you see this entire material world, it's like no place of garbage, and it's filled with literatures, the movies or what not. It's a garbage of where garbage is there, crows will be there. So but now Prabhupada and ISKCON as a movement, it is now they want us to shift our consciousness, mold our consciousness 180 degrees opposite, reject all this garbage. And what we have to, because rejecting garbage, what will you do? We have to associate with something nice, then only we'll be able to reject garbage. And that's why Bhagavatam saying that associate with Srimad Bhagavatam. So our life should never be diverted to reading news or reading newspapers, novels, this, that, seeing something on YouTube. Once you enter YouTube, then gone. We don't know when we'll come back. It's a very dangerous trap, spider web. You can enter, but you cannot come back. So we should be very careful. That's why we should develop the taste for Srimad Bhagavatam. We don't have a taste, but when we start reading, then we'll develop that interest. Now, coming back to our shloka, there's a very interesting shloka, Tat Shraddha Dhanaya Muniya. So basically, this shloka is talking about one interesting thing, because previous shloka, what Sukadeva Goswami has spoken, actually Sutta Goswami has spoken, what? It's about absolute truth. What is absolute truth? So now when we ask, okay, what is absolute? God is there. Like until we came in touch with Krishna consciousness, God is there in the temple. Go to the temple, ring the bell, offer something. Tata, bye bye. You have your job, I have my own job. No, Bhagavatam is telling not like that. Now explain about absolute truth, but now what is connection between you and absolute truth? How to realize the absolute truth? This is a very important thing. So this is being only taught, at least in this current age, mostly in ISKCON. Absolute truth. What is actually absolute truth? How to realize him? Basically, realizing him means we won't be able to realize completely, but we can realize our relationship with the absolute truth. This is very important thing. So, but you see, this word Prabhupada has used for the first time. When I was reading for the first time the scriptures written by Srila Prabhupada, for many of the terminology, I don't have any understanding. Transcendental, absolute truth. What kind of other terminology Prabhupada has used? Absolute truth. So, what is absolute truth? Anyone of you can tell what is absolute truth? What is meant by absolute truth? Don't tell absolute truth is realized in 3 phases. That is realizing. But what is absolute truth? From whom everything emanates. Yes.
Is not dependent on any other.
Which is not dependent on any other things. Yes. Then what else? No duality. Okay. What else? Which is eternal. Hmm. What else?
Beyond the relative concepts of this world.
Yeah, beyond the relative concepts. Any other last answer? So if we want to make study of Bhagavatam interesting, what we have to do? We have to ask questions. Because any student who doesn't ask questions in a class or to himself while learning, he can never learn the subject. It may appear that we have learnt the subject. है ना? At least all of us gone through that mathematics learning, physics, chemistry, attempted IIT and other competitive exam. We have to make a thorough analysis. है ना? What is absolute truth? For understanding absolute truth, we have to understand what is relative truth. Because without understanding relative truth, what will happen? We will not be able to understand absolute truth. And this terminology, this is being used in Christianity also. Absolute truth, relative truth, it's not only. So I was thinking, wondering, Prabhupada has used throughout the word absolute truth, absolute truth. What is this absolute truth? है ना? So you see absolute truth. So relative truth, I was searching for the definition, what is relative truth. So some of you have given answer. Relative truth is not the truth in all three phases of time. Are you able to understand? Relative truth is not the truth in all three phases of time. What is three phases of time? Past, present, and future. So, for example, this body is a relative truth or absolute truth? Why? Ha! It keeps on changing. Truth. One of the characteristic of truth is what?
Unchangeable.
Unchangeable. Truth, like 2 plus 2 is 4. It is unchangeable all over the world, everywhere. So truth, characteristic of the truth should be it's unchangeable. So this body is unchangeable or changeable? Changeable. Which shloka Bhagavad Gita talks about this in second chapter? Dehinasmin. Any other shloka? Asam se jila. Antavatu ime deha nitya shloka. Like that. So many shlokas are there from second chapter. So I was also searching for a definition of relative truth in the from general thing. So relative truth is more what? It is a conditional. It is subjective. It is varying and contradictory. What? It is conditional. It is subjective. It is varying and contradictory. Anyhow, varying we all know that it is varying, but truth should be unchangeable. So now let us take the example, this subjective example, the beauty. A person, a mother is there. When she sees the child, she may say, "My child is so beautiful." But other mother, when she sees, what she says, "This boy is ugly." So now both may be truths, but both are relative. Why? This is subjective. So this is what relative truth. So similarly, um, truth also may be conditional. For example, in a class, a boy is performing, and then is a topper. But is it true or false? Is it true or false? Boy is a topper. Is it true or false?
Conditionally.
It's a conditional. How it's conditional? In the class is a topper, but in the state is a what is a lower position. You see, this is called relativity. So similarly, actually every experience in this material world is relative. If we don't have the darkness, we won't be able to appreciate light. If we don't have a distress, we won't be able to appreciate happiness. So that's why distress is also created as a purpose. That's why duality. That's why one of you said it, absolute truth means no duality. Yes. But that doesn't mean there's no duality in the spiritual world. Day and night is there. Happiness, distress is there. Happiness, distress is there. It should be full of happiness only, right? How many of you say it should be full of happiness only in spiritual world? Full of happiness, our Prabhu is telling. Anyone else agrees or disagrees with the statement? Disagree. Why?
Distress also brings happiness.
How? Have you have that kind of experience?
Actually, we are reading and reading.
Acha, from where means what is an example to show what you are saying? To,
In separation of Krishna and Krishna is not, when Krishna is not present and devotees is in separation of Krishna. At that time also that also brings, because that also that's a source of happiness, because they are constantly remembering Krishna.
so big Hari bol to Pranjay Prabhu. Hari bol! It's a nice. Why? In spiritual world is also there's a distress, but that distress is also spiritual. You don't ask me how this distress is spiritual. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited. If you read Antalila, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has exhibited the feelings of separation from the Lord, and in that he was mad. He was feeling distress. He was hitting his head against the wall, and the blood is oozing out. But he was transcendently joyful. So this is how in the spiritual world distress is there. That distress is also joyful. In the material world, you cannot experience that. You know, that is the nature of the. So you see, our Krishna conscious philosophy. It's amazing philosophy. It's as we progress, the higher dimensions of the truth will get revealed to us. So that's how the subject matter becomes so interesting. Tadeva Ramyam Ruchiram Navam Navam. Navam Navam means that at every phase we actually experience newer and newer things. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was experiencing newer and newer moods. So this is how our Krishna conscious will be alive. If we are stagnant or no, we have a struggle. So in ISKCON there is a word called fried up. This is also mentioned in this Burjan Prabhu, the spiritual master, fried up. So otherwise we'll be fried up. Okay, so we have to ask questions, understand, inquire, and hear careful. That's why Bhagavatam has to be heard very, very attentively. If you are sleeping, you will miss. That's why if you are sleeping, what you have to do? Get up and stand at the back. Bhagavatam can't be missed. You know, if you're feeling sleepy, get up and stand at the back. Our teacher used to do like that. Get up, go back. If you want, no, in our childhood, we used to have a punishment. You know what punishment? Huh? Go to bed. You remember, right? You can try that experiment. Then at least you'll feel not sleepy. Of course, I'm not asking you to do that. But if you really want, you know, there is one Maharaj in Gaudiya Vaishnava, Bhakti Raksha Sridhar Maharaj or someone, because he used to be busy throughout the day in the services. But at the night, his rounds were not completed. What he used to do? He used to shika. Shika is there. He used to tie with some background, some rod or something. So if it dozes, what will happen? It will give the, you know, it will, what do you say? It will give the pain. Huh? Pull back. It pull back. And then he used to wake up and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I also heard about His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj when he was in New Vrindavan. He was also busy with services. He was not having time for chanting. So he used to stand and then something like that, put something. Anyone knows that? He used to stand and read. So devotees, you see, if they have an where there is a way, where there is a will, there is a way. So now we have to change our will in learning, you know. So relative truth in the world, every experience is relative. Even the salvation also, it's a relative. You know, etomat tatopat. Everyone thinks that whatever I do in my life, ultimately I will be relieved from the cycle of the birth and death. No, that is not it. So after understanding this, what is absolute truth? So one important quality of the absolute truth is what? Absolute truth doesn't change over time. This is a very important. Doesn't change over time. That's why Krishna doesn't change over time. You see Krishna's age. Prabhupada has this question: have you seen Krishna anytime old with beard and then old white hair and bald head? So-called spiritual leaders may say like that. You know, in India is filled with such. You know, have you heard of Amma Bhagavan? Amma Bhagwan. So they are the people. Our relatives used to go to Amma Bhagwan. He's a bald-headed person with such a obese body, and he claimed himself as a Kalki avatar. Can you imagine? People are foolish in following that. So you see, simply by understanding this, what our Prabhupada books, what happens, we'll be protected from all such fallacies or wrong philosophies. So absolute truth means that doesn't change over time. So doesn't change over time, and then it's a all other truths are relative to it, or all other truths are dependent upon it. So all the relative truths are dependent on upon absolute truth. So, and that is true in all places, in all circumstances, in all the times. That's how absolute truth is, no matter whatever the circumstance. So, in short, what are the characteristics of the absolute truth? Truth is constant, it does not change over time. And you can see Krishna is the absolute truth, it doesn't change over time. Truth is objective, that means the same truth is applicable to everyone. Krishna is the same Supreme Lord all over the creation, both in material and spiritual world. Someone may say Allah, we worship Allah. No, Krishna is same Allah. Krishna is the same Jehovah. That's how we understand. So it's applicable to everyone. But if you speak to Christianity means people with who are following Christianity, they say Jesus is the way. If you don't follow this way, you are going to hell. Means they have that conviction that our Lord is actually applicable everywhere. So similarly, we also, because we know Jesus is the Son of God. So that means truth is applicable to everyone, and truth will prevail all over till the end. So that's how this Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Anyone know Chatushloki Bhagavatam? Huh? Aham evasam evagre nanyat sat asat padram. So like that is one shloka. So Krishna is the one who existed before the creation, and Krishna is the only one. Even during creation, is the only one. Everything is resting on him, and after the destruction, only one person remains. Only Krishna remains. Of course, Krishna is spiritual world. That only remains. Before, only Krishna. During the creation, it's only Krishna, and after Krishna. So this is how Krishna is the absolute truth. So Krishna, Prabhupada, whenever is speaking about the Supreme Lord, is addressed as an absolute truth. So which verse of Bhagavatam says the definition of the absolute truth? So this is the first verse of Bhagavatam talks about what? First canto, first chapter, first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam talks about what? What is the definition of the absolute truth? What is the definition of the absolute truth in short? Vigrah Swarat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. So Vyasadeva is very clear. People will get confused with absolute truth. That's why first he said, I am offering my obeisances to Vasudeva, and then he explained the definition of absolute truth. You see, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, they have the definitions. Everything is defined. There's nothing like a blind thing. There's no blind faith. If anyone says, you people are blind people, we can say confidently, you people are actually blind people. Why? Because everything is defined. You ask any question, anything that is defined in our scriptures. And Bhagavatam is talking about absolute truth. Janma dyasya to nayat itaratas chatesh avigna swarat tene brahma hridayadi kave muhyanti yat surya tejo vari mridam yata vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna seva svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. So absolute truth means what? Avigna Swarat. Absolute truth means completely independent. So now with this definition we can understand we are completely dependent. So our existence is dependent on Krishna, and this material world also dependent on Krishna. Everything is dependent on Krishna. So that's why only Krishna is Swarat, is a completely independent person. Everyone else is dependent. So this is our position. What is our position? We are completely dependent. So if you don't understand our constitutional position, then we may treat ourselves equal with God. That's why this Mayavad philosophy, they always say you are God, I am God, everyone is God, everyone can become God. During Srila Prabhupada time, when he was spreading Krishna consciousness, there was a danger within the ISKCON also. That happened. It's called conspiracy theory. So it happened. It's a great problem. Thinking oneself as equal with God. So one can never be equal to God, or one can never become God. So why? Because Avigna Swarat, only Krishna is completely independent, and everyone else is dependent. So how he is completely independent? Because even Brahma, Shiva, or all the great demigods, they are also put into illusion. Prabhupada writes, right? By him, even the great sages or demigods are placed into illusion. Is it or not? The great demigods, Lord Shiva, who is the is a principal demigod. Brahma, principal demigod. They were put into illusion. Is it not like Lord Shiva? He was put into illusion by our Mohini, and then later he was so mad after Mohini avatar. Even though his wife is there and his associates are there, and his Nandi is there, everyone is there. In front of that, he got attracted to Mohini. His dress was wiped out, and then he lost semen running after Mohini. Can you imagine if you are a leader? You are taking care of a Bhakti center or ISKCON temple. You are with all your disciples, or means whomever you have cultivated. Everyone is watching you. Now you got become mad. What will happen? You will feel humiliated. Later you will not be able to show the face. Is it or not? Our situation is like that. Is it or not? And this is I am taking a very extreme example. Even small things, you know, will become humiliated. But Lord Shiva was so happy. Why? Actually, I was attracted by Lord Krishna. You see, this is the greatness of a devotee. Even though such kind of humiliation was there, he was so extremely blissful. So devotees will also be put into humiliating situation, but real test is in that out of that humiliating situation is Krishna. That is how a devotee sees Krishna. This is the mercy of Krishna. Prabhupada saw that, right? When actually his business was the collapse, and then robbery happened. He said, actually, this is the mercy of what is the shloka? Anyone knows? Yasyaham anugranami. Harishe taddanam shanai. Krishna, if Krishna wants to show mercy, what he'll have, what he'll do? He will take everything. So, are we ready for that mercy? I don't know. So, we have to ask ourselves. But what I'm trying to say is, a devotee sees Krishna or the Krishna's hand in every situation. That's how Lord Shiva was so blissful, even though he was humiliated. But the point is, as per the shloka, only Krishna is the absolute truth, is completely independent. And Lord Shiva could understand, because I cannot be defeated by anyone else. I can only be conquered by Lord Shiva. Even Mother Parvati could not conquer Lord Shiva. It's very difficult when a woman touches the genitals. It's very difficult, but Lord Shiva could conquer that. But Lord Shiva was so happy when he was conquered by Mohini avatar. So this is how the loving reciprocation happens between Krishna and Lord Shiva. Krishna and his devotees. Brahmaji, he was Brahma Vimohan Lila. Entire pastime is about that. He was so bewildered by what? Brahmaji took away all the calves, all the cowherd boys, and he saw, and after a moment he saw everything is there, everyone is playing so nicely, exact features. He got bewildered. He came here and he went there. He came here and went there. He got bewildered. Hey, what's happening? And then finally Krishna revealed the plan. So Brahmaji, Shiva, Lord Shiva, or what to speak of other demigods, everyone is put into illusion by Krishna. What to speak of us? What we are tiny living beings. So we can be put into illusion anytime. So that's why we should not be puffed up. Oh, today I have done such a great service. I have distributed so many books. I have done such a nice service. 24 hours I am engaged. Still am I safe? No. That's why our acharya says one should be puffed up with, one should not be puffed up with the sadhana. Pride of sadhana should not be there. What should not be there? Pride of sadhana. I may complete my sadhana chart, I may get 100 by 100 points. But still, what is that? I should not be puffed up, because ultimately we are dependent on Krishna. Only if Krishna orders, oh Maya, you get lost from here. Don't trouble my devotee. Then only Maya will go. By our sadhana, we can never conquer Maya. We can never conquer illusory energy. We need to understand that. By our sadhana alone, we can never conquer illusory energy. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya. Whatever, how much ever sadhana we do, that doesn't mean we should stop sadhana. That, this is a fine line. That doesn't mean we'll stop sadhana. If we stop sadhana, what will happen? Definitely, Krishna will not say, you remove the influence of your illusory energy. But if we perform sadhana, but that is not sufficient. You know, in mathematics, there is a condition called necessary and sufficient condition. Have you read? It is necessary, but is not sufficient. This is a very interesting thing. We have to do sadhana. If you don't do sadhana, necessary condition is also wiped out. But we have to do sadhana with utmost sincerity and at the same time depend on Krishna. The same Damodar pastime. Mother Yashoda has performed her best effort and dependent on Krishna. This is how always goes hand in hand. So that's why if you are not having this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, what will happen? We'll tend to what will become puffed up or puffed up with pride. It is possible with every. If Brahmaji is puffed up or any other demigod is puffed up, Indra is puffed up. Indra is actually is told as pure devotee. But if Indra is puffed up, what about us? So these examples are not made to make us afraid, but actually to make us alert. When we also learn about this traffic signal, red signal, you have to stop. Is it meant for making us fearful or making us aware or to be alert? It is actually so that we will be alert. We will be alert. So if demigods, great demigods can be put into illusion, what about us? So that's why only Krishna is the absolute truth and only Krishna is Avigna Swarat, is a completely independent person. No one else can be that. That's why no one else can also give salvation or mukti, liberation to any kind of living entity. Only Krishna can give that. No one can give. So that's how this absolute truth. So we have to go till 9 o'clock, Charu Krishna Prabhu. 9 o'clock. We have another 7 minutes. So this is how absolute truth. So you see how interesting this first shloka, because this is the one of the aphorisms of Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya. That's why it is intentionally started with that, just to wipe out all these Mayavadi commentaries, Shariraka Bhasha, everything. They say that we have to write another Bhasha to explain Vedanta Sutra. But that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said no need to have any other Bhasha. But still, we also have a Bhasha called Govinda Bhasha. In one particular situation, we were forced to write, and Baldev Vidyabhushan has written that. But otherwise, Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on this Vedanta Sutra. But now the question comes, why Prabhupada has not used God? He has used absolute truth. Have you ever thought about it? Prabhupada always used absolute truth. He hardly uses the word God. Why? Any idea? God is very unclear. Why? Why unclear? There may be many gods. Any other answer? Why Prabhupada did not use the word God? So both Vimla Gaur and Prabhu also told, actually there is no clarity. God means Ishvara. Ishvara can be even a demigod, even MLA or MP or even a prime minister or Indra or anyone can become Ishvara. The controller, the zone in which is controlling is maybe different, but still is God, is a controller. That's why you see India is filled with demigod worship. So Prabhupada wanted to clarify that from the beginning. That's why he used the word absolute truth. Absolute truth, also supreme personality of Godhead. You see the definition. Absolute truth definition is a supreme and is also person and is a Godhead. Is a God of all gods. So with this word he also wants to establish that if absolute truth is a supreme personality of Godhead, a small god has a form. That means the God of all gods also must be having a form. So he's also rejecting Mayavadi impersonalism from the beginning. So Prabhupada's choice of words is very, he has chosen the words very carefully. Absolute truth, unalloyed devotion, like that, transcendental. So many words Prabhupada has used very nicely. So, but how to realize the absolute truth? Because before this shloka it is being spoken that absolute truth is realized in three phases. Vadanti tattva vidastatva vijnanam advain brahmeti paramatmiti bhagavaniti shabdate. This absolute truth is realized in three phases. First preliminary Brahman, second Paramatma, third Bhagavan. So now you may ask, we are all performing devotion. By performing devotional service, pure devotional service, we will realize the Bhagavan, which also has a both Brahman and Paramatma aspect. So we need not to endeavor separately for realizing Brahman and Paramatma. So that's what the shloka is telling, that the seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment. You see, devotion cannot be sentiment. Yes, actually, devotion is full of sentiments, but it can't be sentiment alone. It should be backed up by knowledge and detachment. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahetukam. This knowledge, and this knowledge is not a dry speculative knowledge, it's a knowledge about the Lord. And the most important thing to test in our life is when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, Jnanam Chayat Vairagya. This also shlok, Jnana Vairagya, the detachment. So in our whatever we have spoken, it will be far beyond us. But what is the most important thing while we are practicing Krishna consciousness? Vairagya means what? Giving up everything and going? No. Vairagya means, actually Prabhupada writes, very nicely writes. Vairagya means what? Detachment. In elsewhere Prabhupada writes, giving up everything that is unfavorable for fostering in Krishna consciousness. If something is not helping us to progress in Krishna consciousness, giving up. So that means sense gratification we have to give up. 100% we cannot do in one day, because Krishna consciousness, as I said in the beginning, it's a project of an entire life. Project has many chapters, but it's a project of life. So don't be disappointed. In one day, one night, project cannot be completed. So 100% sense gratification we cannot live. But if you are not working on reducing our current sense gratification, that's a problem. Like, when my teacher first time told, give up television. How we can live without television? It's a big thing, because television is the center of our life. It is in the center. Now, of course, mobile, all other things also came, but television is the center of the life. Anytime you enter the house, you touch the remote, swap the channels, is that. But it is such an amaze. So now, if you are at that stage, so we have to see whether we are able to give up. So always there's a choice, there's a scope of improvement in our life. So detachment, the scope, always scope is there. It's not that now I became advanced, so there's no scope. No, there's a scope. Actually, there's nothing like a saturation in Krishna consciousness. There's a scope of improvement in every aspect of Krishna consciousness. Now, who has to work on that? Who has to work on that? I. Because after a certain time, no devotee will tell you that you have to, means maybe if you are really fortunate, we may get that kind of feedback. But after certain point of time, we have to push ourselves. Prabhupada says in first canto, everyone has to fly their own plane. Only when you are on the ground, what will happen? Training. After that, flying. If you if you if you are not able to fly properly, then crash. We have to fly proper. We have to learn. After saying this, means it is applicable for all of us. So we have to learn that. So detachment. So there is always scope for giving up sense gratification. Not only that, in our mind also. We are following regulative. We are trying to follow four regulative principles on a gross level, but there is scope to improve in a subtle level. Is there anyone who can claim that is following four regulative principles completely? Very difficult. Why? Mind level to breaks. That thought. Or what is eating meat? Eating means enjoying sense gratification. That is also enjoying. Meat, that's a sense gratification. Alcohol gives us intoxication. But we are intoxicated with our family members, relatives, our career, our position. We are all intoxicated. So you see, to follow these principles on a subtle level, we have to work. But start with gross level, we have to work on subtle level. That's an individual project. We need not to show or that we have to work. But if we are not working on us, our internal self, what will happen? We will work on external projects. Then I will grow from manager, senior manager, director, senior director, VP, SVP, and my age goes away. And at that time, what happened? Hari Hari Bifale Janama Gunaino. Manusha Janama Paya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya Jhaniya Suniya Visha Kaino. So you understand? So basically we have to keep on working our self, and who will give the strength? The holy names, the lordships, sadhu sangha, devotees. That's why we should never neglect devotees association. It's a difficult project. We cannot cross over alone. We need the help of other devotees, blessings of spiritual master, blessings of Prabhupada, and with humility we have to render service. Sorry, I don't know whether I made you afraid or not, but don't be afraid, because this project is an interesting project, challenging project. You know, one of my colleagues, she went for a trek in Himalayas or somewhere. She prepared her life to go to that trek, and she was so excited to go for that adventure trek. And after the trek, she put the flag, and then she came back, and in the office also her the certificate of achievement is there, and she says so proudly, was able to trek that. So when the project, when the goal, or when adventure is challenging, what happens? It creates enthusiasm, otherwise it's a boring. Like, when I was also solving mathematical problems for my preparation of a competitive exams, when the challenging problem is there, interest comes. Otherwise, it's a boring. If you do the same boring problem, I know this. That's why project has to be challenging. So we are all ready for challenges, and our challenge, biggest challenge is also, we want to take risk for Krishna, take the mission of Srila Prabhupada forward. But for that, what we can only share when we are something with us, and when we are learning. So somehow I just try to create some inquisitiveness or enthusiasm, because Bhagavatam is a very interesting subject matter. It is filled with nectar. Pibantiye Bhagavatam Atmanam Satam. He saying, don't just hear, drink the nectar. Pibantiye Bhagavatam Atmanam Satam Kata Amritam. It's a full of nectar. Kata Amritam Shravana Putesha Samritam. Don't keep your ears idle. Fill it. Shravana Putesha Samritam. Punantite Vishaya Vidushita Ashayam. By doing that, what will happen? Our heart will be purified. All Vidushita Ashayam. All polluted desires will be wiped out. Then Vidushita Ashayam. पिबन्ति भगवत आत्मनाम सतम कथामृतम श्रवणभूतेषु समृतम पुनन्ति ते विषय विदूषिताशम. Then it will take us to the lotus feet of Krishna. So with this I am holding my discussion. So if anyone of you have any questions or comments, so please let me know. Otherwise we can close. Yes, true.
Thank you for the class with so much of insights. So I have this question that we in this discussion we understood that Krishna consciousness is a lifetime project, it is gradual and many chapters. So and then Srila Prabhupada also says that we can realize Krishna in one moment also.
True.
So how to understand both the things?
Yes. So how many months you are practicing? Some months, some years. So I am also, some other great devotees are also there. Yes, it is possible, but if you fully surrender, no? If you chant holy names purely. Katvanga could do. Maharaj Katvanga, which is mentioned in Bhagavatam, he could do that. He knows how much time is left, one moment. He just came and then surrendered. Is it possible? Now if I ask you, give up everything, difficult. I'm asking even for the brahmacharis. In the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati time, brahmacharis. I'm not means it's a problem of attachment for every living entity. Whether brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, it's not means to hurt anyone. Brahmacharis have the attachment for their kaupin, their dhoti, their kurta, their small space. No, because why? When we are staying at some place or somewhere, when we are doing something, we get attached. We have to admit our problem. Like for example, if someone asks me to leave my home, it becomes painful. That's why death is becoming a very painful. Why? We are living in this body for a quite long time, 70-75 years, and to leave, the soul has to leave the body at that time. It is a very difficult thing. Anything we do, or anywhere we are staying, we get naturally attached. This is our problem. See, means all of us have to understand our own problem, understand and then work upon the problem. If one doesn't know who is enemy, how can we attack the enemy? You know, how we has an attachment. So one moment is possible, but provided if you are able to fully surrender, we are in the process of surrender. We are not fully surrendered. We are in the process of chanting holy names purely. Still, we are struggling with Nama Parad, Nama Pas. We have not yet reached the pure holiness. In that sense, it is there. So, one moment is possible when we do that, but in our state, it is not happening. And what is the proof? We ourselves are the proof. Any other questions or comments? Yes. Last question, yes.
So you were explaining about this
I want to give my.
the subtle nature of which pride is that it cannot be recognized, but it is very harmful to the person.
Yes.
So what can be the effective way to subdue pride? Like with practice, it becomes inevitable to conquer.
Yeah, pride. Even of course, this external meaning of pride when Radharani, she also became external reason, not the internal reason I'm talking. She also became pride that only Krishna is with me. You know, after the Rasa dance, he left the company of all the gopis, and Krishna only took Radharani with him, and then she also became filled with pride. Of course, this is an external reason just to show us the lesson because Radharani cannot be filled with pride. She is our worshipable master. So, but at that time, Krishna left Radharani also. That's so pride. It is said that Krishna can accept anything, but he cannot accept a person filled with pride. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told, because he's the mood of Radharani, right? What he said? Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnana. So that means definitely, eventually or inevitably we will be filled with pride. That's we need to understand. But from our side, it's said that prevention is better than cure. When we understand philosophy properly, when we understand our insignificant position, and when we are also acting on that position, always reminding ourselves our faults. That's why we have a Dainya prayers, you know, Dainyamaya prayers. What are the Dainyamaya prayers? Like Bhakti Vinod Thakur is telling that Gopina Mama Nivedana Suno Gopina Vishaya Durjana Sadakamarata Kichunahi Moraguna. So like that, there are nice bhajans are there. When we are learning that bhajans, when we are inculcating that mood in our life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling, I don't have any good qualities. What about us? Am I having any good qualities? So in Krishna conscious career, as we progress, many people may come and appreciate us. Many people come and glorify us. But internally, we should always remember our own dirty position. How we know? By learning from Acharyas. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj example, you know, right, how Srila Prabhupada has told. So from our side, we can try our best. In spite of this, definitely there will be slips. At that time, if you are in this association of nice devotees, Krishna will help through other devotees to help us. And Krishna will also help us. Why? Because he sees our sincerity, right? No, that's why devotional service is an exchange with Krishna. Krishna reciprocates with his devotees at every step. More than we hanker to meet Krishna, Krishna is eagerly hankering to meet us. So does that mean we are only putting endeavor? No. If we are taking one step, Krishna will take 10 steps. In Islam, it is said that if you take one step, Krishna will run by 100 steps. So you see, if we are taking one step sincerely, trying from our best, then we can definitely expect the blessings and the guidance of Krishna. That's what Krishna says in Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Krishna always is there to help us, but are we ready? So that's our job is in every situation, in every circumstance, trying to see the hand of Krishna. We should not be discouraged, disappointed. There may be disappointment. Prabhupada is telling in Narada Bhakti Sutra, if disappointment is a obstacle in the path of devotional service, kick out that disappointment, depression. So that means in all circumstances from our side, we should put our endeavor to perform devotional service till the end, and we can expect the blessings of Krishna. Okay, Prabhu, hope it's answered. Okay, Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Nice class, Prabhuji. Wonderful points. Very, very points to the diagram.
So one point which I would like to reflect is that when we are doing what we are doing, what we are doing consciously, so that gives a taste and interest to progress more and more and continue, not getting bored of. And the final point that the project should be challenging. And the project is challenging, so we'll have that enthusiasm to progress. So thank you, Guruji. So let's thank Guruji by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So look forward more and more times for Guruji's association. So let's get ready for Guru Puja. So devotees can help in 12 minutes. YouTube live TV.